Today's topic is discourse analysis, linguistic competence, and language competence. So, what exactly is discourse analysis? Discourse analysis is sometimes defined as the analysis of language beyond the sentence. This contrasts with types of analysis more typical of modern linguistics, which are chiefly concerned with the study of grammar, that is, the study of smaller bits of language such as sounds, for example phonetics and phonology, parts of words, which concerns with morphology, meaning, which is that of semantics, and the order of words in sentences, which is the syntax. So discourse analysts study larger chunks of language as they flow together. Some discourse analysts consider the larger discourse context in order to understand how it affects the meaning of the sentence. For example, Charles Fillmore points out that two sentences taken together as a single discourse can have meanings different from each one taken separately. To illustrate, he asks you to imagine two independent signboards at a swimming pool. The first one, "Please use the toilet, not the pool," says one. The other announces, "Pool for members only." If you regard each sign independently, they seem quite reasonable. But taking them together as a single discourse makes you go back and revise your interpretation of the first sentence after you have read the second. You know how it happens. Discourse and frames. Reframing is a way to talk about going back and reinterpreting the meaning of the first sentence. Frame analysis is a type of discourse analysis that asks what activity are speakers engaged in when they say this? What do they think they are doing by talking in this way at this time? Consider how hard it is to make sense of what you are hearing or reading if you don't know who's talking or what the general topic is. For example, when you read a newspaper, you need to know whether you are reading a news story, an editorial, or an advertisement in order to properly interpret the text you are reading. Next topic is turn taking. Conversation is an enterprise in which one person speaks and another listens. Discourse analysts who study conversation note that speakers have systems for determining when one person's turn is over and the next person's turn begins. This exchange of turns or flows is signaled by such linguistic means as intonation, pausing, and phrasing. Some people await a clear pause before beginning to speak, but others assume that winding down is an invitation to someone else to take the flow. When speakers have different assumptions about how turn exchanges are signaled, they may inadvertently interrupt or feel interrupted. On the other hand, speakers also frequently take the floor even though they know the other speaker has not invited them to do so. Next topic is discourse markers. Discourse markers is the term linguists give to the little words like well, oh, but, and that break up our speech into parts and show the relation between parts. Oh prepares the hearer for a surprising or just remembered item, but indicates that sentence to follow is in opposition to the one before. However, these markers don't necessarily mean what the dictionary says they mean. Some people use and just to start a new thought, and some people put but at the end of their sentences as a way of trailing off gently. Realizing that these words can function as discourse markers is important to prevent the frustration that can be experienced if you expect every word to have its dictionary meaning every time it's used. Next topic is linguistic competence and communicative competence. Linguistic competence is defined as the ability of a speaker-hearer to speak and understand the language in a grammatically correct manner. The emphasis is put on grammar. Example, a linguistically competent person would know which structure is acceptable in their native language, or they would know the correct use of tenses in their language. But they may not be able to explain the grammatical rules. The focus of the attention is upon questions such as: which among grammatical sentences are most likely to be produced? Easily understood, less clumsy, more natural, etc. Next important topic, communicative competence. Hims in 1971 criticizes the notion of linguistic competence based on the fact that real communication, which involves the use of language in society, is not taken into consideration. He proclaims that there is nothing like a homogeneous speech community or an ideal native speaker listener. He says all we have is diversity in communities, differential competence, and a repertoire of codes, varieties, and styles. Therefore, Hims came up with a theory which takes into consideration such factors which he called communicative competence. The theory of communicative competence is based on 4 points. Number 1, whether and to what degree something is formally possible. By being formally possible, we mean how far the sentence is grammatically possible. Example, you is my friend is formally not possible in English and it is grammatically incorrect. Number 2, whether and to what degree something is feasible. This denotes how far something is acceptable, keeping in view the psychological constraints. Example, colorless green ideas sleep furiously. Though this sentence is grammatically perfect, it is not acceptable since it doesn't have any meaning. Number 3, whether and to what degree something is appropriate in relation to context. Example, if somebody asks you the question, how are you? And your reply is, linguistics is a good subject, the answer is not appropriate in the context. Number 4, whether and to what degree something is actually performed. This denotes the kind of sentences we usually use in our daily communication. Example, if we say, John kicked the bucket, not many non-native speakers will understand the meaning of this sentence, which is John died. But if we say John died or John passed away, most of us will understand what it means. This theory takes into account both the grammaticality as well as the usability of language. Thank you.